It's Friday! Hooray for Friday! And all of my sewing is mostly done. I have a few small orders to get ready this weekend, but they won't take me long at all, and they're fun bags to make, so they're not a chore. And, well, sewing is never a chore. But when you have to make a million bajillion bags all at once and you haven't slept for a week, then it's a bit of a chore. However, I am just so glad to be sitting here and ready to put in a few stitches with you. And I hope that you have yourself a project ready to work on and are happy to join with me today. I've had some trouble figuring out my camera placement for today. I have moved my floor frame position. I have changed the height thanks to a comment on our Facebook group from Kathy. And that group is called Friday Off the Grid, and you can join us anytime. Just answer the question so that I know that you're a stitcher, and then join the group and share your projects, share what you're working on while we're all stitching together on the weekends. And Kathy wanted to know some more information about the floor frame that I use and whether, it would adjust upwards so that she could have it very close to her face, because she takes her contacts out and stitches with the fabric very close to her face. And since this is something that I am also recently starting to do as my eyes get older and change, my myopic eyes are working in my favor, and instead of needing magnifiers, I'm going the opposite way. My close-up vision is actually improving, and I can do very, very fine counts without any magnification as long as the fabric is very close to my face. And so I thought, oh, light bulb, well, maybe you should try heightening your stand and having the fabric closer to your face, and maybe it would help you too. And by gum, by golly, it is genius. So I've got it raised up to its very top height, and I am not a short woman. I'm about 5'10", and this is pretty close to my face. Now, obviously, I'm sitting back a little bit because I have the camera there, but I'm quite pleased with how close it is. And thanks, Kathy. Thank you for asking what I thought about that, because, well, now we know. It's pretty awesome. This is a Hearthside Craftworks Mark II floor stand, and it's a company from Calgary, Alberta. And I purchased this through my local needlework shop at Thread and Eye a number of years ago, and it has held the test, stood the test of time. I use it every day, and I love it. Okay, moving on to Winter Quakers, my piece of the day. I have had more angst over this piece than I know what to do with, because I just wasn't convinced about anything. The colors, the fabric, other than that little tiny bird in the corner, which I'm thrilled with. I love the little bird. The colors that I started using, I thought, they're not, I don't know if they're the colors or the fabric. So I was going to get myself to Thread and Eye this morning and maybe, look at some different fabric. But then I thought, maybe you're just overtired and maybe you just need to give it a little bit more of a chance. Put in a few more stitches of different colors that are surrounding the part that you're not happy with, and maybe those other colors will help bring it a bit more to life. Because let's face it, the motif that I am starting with right now is a bit of a, the colors in it are not that bright. I mean, look, it's supposed to be muted. So let's give it a bit more of a chance. I already know that I love this fabric. So let's choose a slightly brighter shade of purple for the inside. And I'm going to add the cream color that I had planned for the middle. I'm using this as a Classic Colorworks in Antique Lace. And this is one strand over 2 threads. And you can see I was in such a hurry to sit down with you today. I did not even attempt to fix my nails. So you're going to have a very messy homemade manicure in front of your face for the next hour. So probably best that you just keep your eyes on your own stitching and not mine if you're horrified by those things. Oops. That's the other thing with raising the camera. It knocks my frame knocks the stand there when I move it. So let's thread this up. Antique lace, 1 thread, and where is it going? In the middle. Try not to knock the camera there. I know you can't see me threading my needle in when I turn my frame like this, but I don't think that's all that interesting anyways, is it? You've seen me do that before. Okay, so here we go. Fingers crossed that this adds what I'm looking for and makes it a little more appealing to my eye, because I really don't want to start all over again. I know it's only a little bit of progress here, but I really like that bird. And when you're all prepared to go, it's frustrating to think about restarting all over again. Let's see. So many of you know that Gerald has started recording his own Stitch With Me videos, and he is calling them Saturday Off the Grid After Party. So we have our very own after party hosted by Gerald himself, who's fantastic. All of his projects are amazing. I love watching him stitch. The pieces that he's working on now, the joy ornament that he's doing his own conversion for, I really like that. And I have that pattern in my stash. So I think it's about time I got it out. Let's see here. I don't know. What do you think so far? My threads aren't lying very flat. Well, I don't know. I'm not overwhelmed so far, but I'm wondering if maybe it's because it's 1 thread and not 2. If it were on a larger count. I don't know. Let's do 1 more. Let's do 1 more here. And then I'll add some of that darker purple of the inner border. And we'll see. Like I said, this is one of the more muted motifs of the piece. So maybe I just need to work my way over to one of the brighter colored ones and give that a try. I don't know. What do you think? It's all very subjective, isn't it? Because your taste is totally different from my taste. And that's a good thing. It's good to have interesting differences of opinions. Wherever you go, wherever you look, friends you meet. So I'm afraid I've done a terrible job with taking down questions for this week. It has been such a whirlwind, and I am, oopsie, sewed that in the wrong way there. I backstitched it. There we go. A few people have commented lately they're amazed at how much I get done in the amount of time. And well, let me tell you, it is not normally like this. The last few weeks have been a little crazy, but it has been so fun. And when you're enjoying your life, I don't think it feels like drudgery or a chore. To work hard and put the hours in. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I finished sewing those bags at 2:30 in the morning, and needed to be up by 7 this morning to get on with my day and get Nicholas to school and all of those fun daily life things. And I feel pretty good. I mean, I'm probably going to go to bed a bit early tonight, but a few of you have asked, how do you get so much done? Well, that's kind of the answer. Not sleeping a lot, not doing much of anything else. My husband has pretty much taken over the cooking, the laundry, the general care of the ragamuffins who live here with us in this house. And it's I'm very fortunate that he's been tremendously understanding of the fact that I wanted to attempt to grow this business and make a go of the shop selling the bags, and he's been awesome. So full credit to the husband, even though we all know there's not a chance that he's ever going to watch this. So I do make sure that I thank him in person. Don't worry. See, I am saying a lot today, aren't I? Someone commented that I don't say a lot, and they were quite impressed. And then I was rewatching the last Monday's episode, and I thought, I do actually say a lot. She was being very kind. Let's see, where am I going? What do you think so far? It's okay. Well, I'm going to bring my white up here to rest. And let's grab some of that purple. So the purples that I had planned for this motif were, this one and one other one, but the other lighter one didn't work out. So Blue Moon, Classic Colorworks Blue Moon is the one that I'm using on the outside. And then I thought I would try this cauldron color on the inside. So let's give it a go. See what we think. I'm going to have to make sure I tidy up carefully after recording this video, because right now I'm sort of just dropping things as they lie. And that is definitely for me a recipe for losing track of threads and all of those important things that we really, really need to keep track of. All right, let's see. Cauldron. What a great name for a colorway. Love that. These Classic Colorworks are quite nice. I like them. I know everybody has their favorites. I'm sort of equal opportunity thread user. There isn't much that I don't like. Okay, let's thread this in. So, what did you guys think of Patty? Well, I know what you guys thought of Patty because you all left me so many amazing messages. Wasn't she fantastic? She is an incredible lady. And the number one question that I had about Patty, first of all, were what count is the fabric that she's doing those pillows on, because it's fantastic. Now, I'm going to have to fix that because I've got a long float in the back that I didn't foresee. Let's see if I go here. I think that'll be better. What count fabric is she using for those amazing pillows? And the answer is, I think it's 11 count, but I'm not exactly sure. So I might have a small surprise for you next week during a Vlogmas episode. I'm in the works with something with Patty to figure out if we can bring you a special little treat next week. So maybe Wednesday or Thursday of next week. We'll have to see. And English paper piecing. First little episode came out a couple days ago. And then I'm going to put part 2 up on Tuesday of next week. Oh, you guys, I think I like it. I think I like it. Now that's a bit more color, isn't it? And that makes everything else stand out a little bit more. Okay, I think I can live with this. What do you think? I think that's going to work. Aha. All right. Well, that's a relief. I am going to carry on then, and I'm not going to go with the assumption that I'm going to change my fabric. That is somewhat of a relief, actually. Okay. So, Miss Patty, my friend. Yeah, she's amazing. I'm so glad that you enjoyed that house tour. It was so much fun to go and visit her and look at all of her things. You know, when you meet someone has such similar interests and passions as you do, and you get to chat about it for a few hours, there's little else that feels quite so nice. So that was Monday's episode, was the visit to Patty's house. Little surprise there. And I also showed my show and tell that I received from Crafty Kim. And we had such a nice visit as well. Kim and I did. I wish she lived a little closer and we could do it a little more often. And then I introduced you to Henry the gnome. Henry's downstairs having a nap at the moment, in case you were wondering. He sleeps a lot. And then I did the English paper piecing tutorial, part 1. Part 2 is coming. And then yesterday, if you haven't watched it already, and you are a fan of Mirabilia, you might want to go and watch yesterday's little Vlogmas episode, because there may or may not be a little giveaway for a Mirabilia pattern. And if you're interested in that, go watch the video and find out how you can enter for me to send that to you, a little bit of Christmas cheer. The other thing that I mentioned in yesterday's episode, and the only other time I'm going to mention it, is right now here on this episode. I'm not going to advertise it. I'm not going to mention it anywhere else. Is that I have a little sale going on in the shop, www.evertote.com, and it is 20% off anything in the shop, to first of all say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown Kathy and I, my sister-in-law Kathy and I, over the last few months, and also to help ready the shop for new bags that we have planned to come in January. So the sale is going on. There is a coupon code. The coupon code is Friday Off the Grid, all caps, and I will put that code in the drop-down menu below this video. That's the only place you'll find it. And go and have a look. If there's a bag that you've had your eye on, then I welcome you to have a little treat, 20% off from Kathy and I. And that, I'm going to keep the sale going until Sunday. And then I'm taking a couple of weeks of holiday. So once all of the bags that are ordered are shipped out Monday and Tuesday, I'm not going to close the shop down or anything, but I'm not going to be really concentrating on putting anything new in the shop until January. So that's it. Friday Off the Grid is the coupon code, 20% off. And that's enough of that. Now, where am I going? 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I can do a few more. Okay. Gotta change my direction. I had something funny that somebody posted on Instagram, and it was a picture of her stitching along with my video in the background. And it was one of the ones where it was the episode where I was stitching the reindeer's backside. And apparently her husband walked in the room and he said to her, "Are you actually watching someone stitch a reindeer's butt?" And she said, "Yes." Because obviously he could see that she was. And he laughed and he said, you really have found your people, haven't you?" And I just thought that was so funny because it really is true. You all are my people. And I'm glad that you think I'm your people too. Oh, just want to fix this one little. I came down too low in this one square. I think I did anyway. What did I do there? Can't even see it. No, I didn't actually. Oh, that's very strange. It's pulling a bit. Now, I didn't really get to check in with the Instagram posts last week for Friday Off the Grid. I am going to be checking them tonight, the ones from last week, and anything that's posted tonight. I'm going to have a little bit more time this weekend to stitch and to join in with more of the social media aspect of it this weekend, which I'm really looking forward to because it's always really, really fun. I love seeing what everybody's working on. And, go and have a look and, comment on people's stuff because it's always nice to receive compliments or kind things said about your work when they're true, of course, and to receive it as well. It makes you feel pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to just bring that up here for now because I need to concentrate to finish the correct amount of counting. And I think, let's see, don't want to make any mistakes. Not sure where my other thread went. I had the twig that I had already started. No, I can't find it. Okay, maybe this was it and I'm just going crazy. Yep, actually this one was it. Just me not paying attention. Okay, so this is Color and Cotton in the twig colorway. She has the sweetest dogs, Angela. Now, why is this all a big mess? This is just a big mess. There, that's better. Okay. So thank you so much to everyone for your kind words about our beagle, Eddie. Some of you know this story already behind Eddie because I've posted it about him on Instagram before. But it's kind of a good story, so if you'll humor me, I'll tell you again. If you already know, just stitch faster. Eddie was... we adopted him, I'm going to say, I think it was 3.5 years ago. It was at least 3 years ago. Yeah, so it was 3.5 years ago, because it was in the early spring. And my husband was looking for a second dog. We have a retriever that we're very happy with. We love her very much. I think I'm probably her biggest fan. My husband sometimes doesn't love the hair and the wet nose constantly in his lap, but she is really my dog. So John was looking for a dog who would be able to go running with him. And so he was looking for a particular, type of dog, medium size with, a more wiry built for running, and, to take with him hiking and running. And so he started looking around, and he would send me pictures of dogs from a rescue agency. And, I wasn't I think you have to be not careful, but you have to be aware of your particular circumstances and the type of dog that you're looking for. And we are a very, very busy family, and I am the number one caretaker for the animals. So even though my husband knew that he wanted to go running with this dog, chances were pretty good that I was going to be the one who was going to end up mostly being the caregiver. And, well, to put it mildly, I am not a runner. So, he would send me these dogs, and I would say, well, it's very nice, but it's maybe a bit of an aggressive breed because it's a rescue. We don't know what its history is, and we have young children. And that's really my big thing. It's not so much that I am breed sensitive. I think, we have had different dogs who were, known to be wonderful dogs, and it's tricky. It's a tricky situation because it's a difficult conversation. But I do think that you have to look at the individual dog and not necessarily the breed sometimes. Just my own personal belief. But when you're dealing with a rescue situation and you have kids, I think that you have to be a little more cautious than you would say if we didn't have kids and I had 24 hours a day to devote to the training and the care of said dog, which I don't at the moment. And when you have a high needs dog, high energy, high activity level, and perhaps, mild aggressive tendencies, you have to be on top of something like that. And I just think at the time, it just wasn't right for our family. And it wasn't anything against the dog itself. It was more, you're bringing home a member of your family. And I do believe that. I believe that whatever animal you bring home, you are responsible for. And so I don't take that responsibility lightly, and I don't want to bring home an animal that isn't going to be the right fit for our family. Because when I commit, I'm committed. So John kept sending me picture after picture, and they just weren't quite right, even though they were lovely dogs. And then finally, he sent me a picture. And it was so surprising because this dog was so unlike any dog that he had sent a picture of before. And it was the most pathetic, sad, elderly looking beagle you've ever seen in your whole life. Really. I mean, this dog couldn't have looked worse if he'd tried. And John said, I know this is really not the kind of dog we were looking for, but I can't stop thinking about him because when I look at this picture, I think to myself, no one else is going to want this dog, and this dog needs a home. And I took one look at the picture and I agreed with him 100%. I couldn't imagine anyone else looking at the picture of this poor little dog and thinking that that was a dog that they wanted to bring home to their family. And so at the time, the dog's name was listed as Donnie. And so we contacted the rescue agency and requested that they bring him over for a visit, because that's what they do. They bring the dog over for an in-home visit to see whether it's a good fit for your family. And Donnie had been brought in with a female beagle at the same time, but they were not a bonded pair, and so they were being adopted out separately. It seems to be, from the brief history that we got, they were pulled out of a house in a breeding situation. They were being used as, sort of a typical kind of maybe puppy mill situation. And the dogs were being kept outside year round on very, very short chains their entire lives. And not much of a life, really. And so other than that little bit of history, I know nothing else about this little dog other than the fact that he was terrified of everything. He was terrified of his shadow. He was absolutely petrified of John. I mean, he did okay with the kids, and he immediately, upon entering the house, tucked himself up behind Daria, our golden retriever, and sort of just sat there very calmly, not calmly, but sat there, not moving a muscle and just looking around and sort of taking in his circumstances. And for a beagle, he was very quiet. He was, he seemed quite sweet, and he just seemed so scared that we thought, well, this is the dog that we want to give a chance to. And we did. So we adopted him. The name that he came with was Donnie, but he had never had a name, so he didn't respond to Donnie. When they brought in the pair, the rescue agency named them Donnie and Marie, which I think is kind of funny. But we didn't really care for the name Donnie, so we changed it to Eddie, and we would call him Eddie or Edward von Wrigglebottom, Edward von Pee Pee Pants, you name it. We would call him that. The vet figured he was probably about 8 years old, minimum. And he was not house trained because, of course, he'd never lived inside. He had never experienced family life. So the children would sometimes, when they would make a loud noise or clap their hands, he would practically hit the roof because he was so startled. Anytime my husband would approach him, he would cower and piddle on the floor because he was just absolutely terrified. And so that's the little dog that we brought home. And for the first, I made a mistake here. I'm going to have to pick that out. Too busy chit-chatting. I'm going to make a long story short. It took a year. It took a year for him to turn into a dog who didn't jump every time you came into a room, who he was going to the washroom outside within a couple of months, maybe even less. It took about a month. Before then, there were a number of accidents, but that's okay. We cleaned him up, and within, it was so funny. A couple of days after we got him, we didn't realize really what we'd gotten ourselves into. And I came downstairs the one morning and went to find the butter to make sandwiches for the kids' lunches, and realized that the butter dish had been left on the kitchen table overnight. And so I went over to get it, and the butter had been eaten, licked clean by the beagle. He had gotten himself up on the kitchen table. Now, that is the only time he ever did that. Not that we scolded him, or, I mean, there's no point because we hadn't caught him actually doing it. He never would have understood what we were upset about. But strangely enough, he never tried to get up on the table ever again. So maybe he got a bad stomach ache from eating the butter. One can imagine. It was half a pound of butter that dog ate. So, oh my goodness. I think I'm liking this more and more and more. What do you think? I think it's turning out okay. All right, I'm going to sew my end in to take the brown up a little further so I don't have a loose end. So all that to say, a year later, a year after we got him for the first time, he had blossomed into a loving, happy, friendly dog who was no longer afraid of people. And by the end, he was greeting people at the door with a wagging tail and a sniff of the hand. And it's just... it meant a lot to both John and I that we were able to make a bit of a difference in his little life, even though he wasn't with us for very long. And oh my word, he could snore like a freight train. He was louder than a lot of humans I've heard. People would actually stop and ask what that noise was, and we'd have to explain it was Eddie snoring. Anyways, thank you for listening. My little buddy. I miss him. You all know. All right, so this is coming along. I'm so thrilled that I didn't go to all the trouble of finding different fabric, because just adding that extra little bit of color has made all the difference to how I feel about it. I had a few comments on last week. I talked about fray check and not using masking tape, and I did have a lady wrote in who did framing for a long time, and she said to please reiterate if you're using masking tape to not, and that if maybe if you have it on your project, maybe try to remove, like cut it, if you can cut it off before you do the framing, because apparently, according to her, it attracts bugs over time because of the glue that's in the tape. Now, the same thing someone else said about fray check, which was the product that I was saying that I used, and they said to be careful not to run a hot iron over the fray check, because it will melt and it will adhere itself to both the iron, creating a bit of sticky mess on your project, which I've never experienced, but I can't remember ironing that section of it. Maybe I did, but I never had a problem with it. But I believe the advice. So there you go. Now, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to travel. If there are any other questions that I have missed and not answered, I apologize. The last few weeks have been highly unusual, And with the volume of comments and questions that I get, it's likely that I missed one or two. And please don't think that I don't want to answer you. It's most likely that I've just missed it. And so if you could send it again, especially to my email address, caroline@evertote.com, that's a much more likely way to make sure that I'll actually see it. With notifications on Instagram and Facebook, I sometimes miss quite a bit, which is disappointing, but I do my best. I do my best. And I love answering questions. So ask away. And if I don't know the answer, which lots of times I don't, I'll find out. 2, 3, 4. So I mentioned to Letitia, Crafty Curator, that she needs to put out a Stitch With Me video now. Since Gerald did one, Letitia needs one. And we have a new member of the Facebook group, Friday Off the Grid, who also has lots of wonderful floss tube videos out there. Bendy Stitchy Michelle. And check her out. Check out her videos. And I think maybe she needs a Stitch With Me too on the weekend. We can go from one video to the next and we'll all stitch together. That would be pretty cool. There's that. And I could probably get away with not sewing it in the back. It's only a few stitches, but oh, better neat and tidy. There we go. And then, how many? 2, 3, 4. 4 more stitches. Can I get 4 more stitches out of this thread? I think I can. I did it. Right to the last centimeter. There we go. Okay, let's tie that in. Clip my thread. Okay. So, there you go. I think, where's my bird? There's the bird. Now you can see the bird too. I think I'm going to be quite pleased with this. Now it's finally coming together, and I'm really quite happy with it. And I'm going to keep it on my floor frame this weekend, and I fully intend to try and finish this one little corner motif this weekend. I think I can do it. It's not that much. And then it's not that much. Oh, I always say that. And then when I'm watching the video again to edit it, and I think, why do you say that? It's not that much. It's totally that much. And of course, it would take a few hours of stitching to complete the whole thing. I don't know if I have a whole few hours put together, but here and there. But then, knowing myself, I'm probably going to be distracted by my canvas work piece, or the shawl that needs knitting, or this, my house. Oh my goodness, my house. I seriously need to rent a dumpster and take a shovel and just start shoveling the stuff out the door and into the dumpster, because my house is so messy at the moment because I have had no time to do anything else except sew and teach and sleep and a little bit of eating in there, that I don't know whether I'm coming or going, and the house certainly reflects that. So before Christmas comes, I would like to have the house sorted out. That's my plan. We'll see whether it happens. But I am somewhat thrilled with this little bit of work here because I think I'm going to be really quite happy with the final result. And I'm really glad I didn't rip it out and start again. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining with the Friday Off the Grid crew on Facebook and Instagram. The hashtag on Instagram is hashtag Off the Grid Friday Party. Facebook group, once again, is Friday Off the Grid. And thank you for letting the ads play at the beginning of the video. I have noticed a few extra pennies in my YouTube account. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that you just let those ads play at the beginning. You don't have to do anything, and it helps me out. Thank you for subscribing, for liking the videos, and leaving me all of your amazing comments. I really do read them all, and I love them all. So thank you so much. If you have more questions, again, Caroline@evertote.com will reach me, and I try to answer quite quickly when I can. Or if I'm going to answer it on the podcast, I will try to send you an email saying that that's what I'm going to do so that you know what's happening. And I think that's it. I think that's it for me today. I think I better go get ready to pick up Nicholas from school, and then I'll do a really quick little editing job at the beginning and end of this video so you know it's me that's on your screen. And then I'm going to get ready to join in with you guys while you stitch tonight, because I fully intend to keep working on this while you guys are watching this video tonight so that we really can be stitching together all weekend long. Leave those comments, look at everybody else's projects, and let's have a great weekend. Happy stitching, everybody.